Well, thank you so much for being here today. Since I have recently moved to a new state and have not met too many people to join in ministry with physically right now, I am choosing to reach out to people who I've been a part of active ministry with either in the past or even right now. So from Japan, my sister-in-law, from Tennessee, one of my best friends, and then my sister here in Virginia. We have all served in some capacity in ministry, and since we are all believers in faith right now, we are walking actively in ministry together. So today I want to talk about kind of the realness of burnout in ministry. I think we've all experienced that in some way, and it can be caused by many different things, right? Like for me personally, the most recent burnout has come from hurt. So like a church choosing to make a decision that directly affects you in a negative way. Like, I don't know about y'all, but that makes me not want to be a part of ministry anymore. Like that makes me want to kind of take a step back to heal. And that there are definitely like appropriate times to take a step back. But I think the enemy uses that a lot of times to sideline people that the Lord wants to use. And so this assignment has been really cool for me personally because I've dug into the idea of what does it look like to avoid burnout, but also to like pull yourself out of it. Right? So I think all of y'all for real have experienced burnout in some way, right?
Yes.
All right. Some sort of affirmation for everybody. All right. So basically what I have come up with is a couple of things here and there, but it starts with why do we work at all? So whether you're working for a Christian organization, in full-time ministry, like for me personally, I work for a Christian college, and so I very much see what I do at work as an admissions counselor as a part of my ministry. And even for people who work at places that aren't Christian by name, you're still carrying out your calling in those workplaces. So whether you're working at a hospital or like your own business, multi-level marketing, whatever the case may be, you carry your ministry throughout every action that you have. We see that in Colossians 3:23. It says that whatever you do, do your work heartily as for the Lord rather than for man. So even if you don't have that tie of like church or Christian onto your workplace, you're still carrying your ministry throughout it. So for the sake of giving an example, I'm going to use my current place of employment to kind of give a picture of what avoiding burnout could look like. The first thing that you want to do is you want to understand your place of employment or ministry. So whether that's a nonprofit, a workplace, or a ministry, you want to understand their core values. So where I work at Regent University, the three core values are excellence, integrity, and innovation. So those three things really drive Regent to do what they do. So personally, what I want to do is to deeply understand those three core values so I can meet them in the race that they run towards Christ. So excellence, that first core value, I want to ask myself, what can I do better? So in my day-to-day at work, what is something that I can master more than I did the day before? Innovation, how can I improve the process? This is something that's super cool. Whether you're planning a church service or building a spreadsheet at work, there is potentially a better way that it can be done that hasn't been done that way before. Because the Lord has created us with such unique minds in His image that we all bring something to the table, right? So that's kind of what I like to think about in the workplace is what do I bring to the table and what's already at the table that I'm going to interact with? And how can I improve that? How can that improve me and what I'm doing? And then integrity. Am I being honest in my work, right? Like even when I could be kind of like not being honest with how many people I've contacted in a day. Like there are just ways that you very easily could be dishonest to meet the quota that you might have. Maybe not being honest with how many students are coming to a certain ministry, how many people that you have been meeting with on a weekly basis if your ministry asks you to supply that number. Lots of different ways that you could be dishonest, and integrity says, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to do my work well with excellence, and I'm going to be honest about it. So, to make sure that we avoid burnout, we want to look at two things in light of the core values of our organization. Again, whether that be church or work, two things. What do I value, and where am I skilled?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, good.
And so with Everett joining us, we can jump into those two things. Where do I feel valued, or what do I see value in where I work, and where am I skilled? Those two things are very nuanced and very important. So we'll kind of go over what that looks like. So your values. And I know y'all are looking at like the computer. You probably can't see this, but if you want this PowerPoint, I can send it your way as well. So value, as I like to take from Marie Kondo, is like what sparks joy, right? So like she would pull an article of clothing from your house as she was reorganizing it and be like, does this spark joy? Now you can't just throw out what you do at work if it doesn't spark joy to you, but it's important to understand it, right? So for me, I love details. I don't love my boss paying attention to those details and seeing that I did everything absolutely correctly. I love a pie chart, I love an Excel sheet. Those things like spark joy for me. That's something I value and I find value in. So Elvis Presley actually said, values are like fingerprints. Nobody's are the same, but you leave them all over everything you do. So what you value, not only is it contagious, but it's what's visible. So what you don't enjoy in your workplace is probably not going to be brought to the top as far as someone just looking at your work. They're going to see what you're passionate about. So for me, when I'm talking to a student on the phone at Regent and I get to talk about the Lord and just like the Lord leads us to certain things, they tell me, they're like, oh yeah, I can tell you're really passionate about this. And I'm very passionate about the Lord leading us to different things. And that may be to Regent University, it may be somewhere else. But just knowing that the Lord has a plan for us, that's something that I find value in, that I get to be a part of that process, someone's journey while I'm at work. So that's something that we need to do in our ministries, is understand, where do I find value? Where do I feel important? Or what do I just really enjoy about my job? It's important to not separate the fact that there are things about your job and ministry that you have to do that you're not going to enjoy. You can't just get rid of those things, but we want to identify what we do enjoy. So next we want to talk about skills. This is where you excel. So I don't really excel in the details. I tend to, miss things, not connect everything or leave something out of a list. And so that's not necessarily where I excel, but I do excel in communication. So when I'm talking to students, I tend to connect well with them and excel in offering an application. So what this might look like in ministry is easily being able to share the gospel. Like that is a skill that not everyone has. Sharing the gospel for some people is very awkward. It's very difficult. For others, it is just naturally a transition into that conversation, and it's awesome. So where are you skilled? Robert Greene said that the future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. This is important in business and ministry as we seek to do our jobs better, as we seek to reach more people for the kingdom, and most times that takes a bit of creativity, as we were made in God's image as creative beings. So this all kind of leads me to how I think we can measure this. What does this look like on a realistic level? So what we want to do is we want to take how we are evaluated in our ministry, or how we are evaluated in our place of work, and rank ourselves 1 to 10 on where we feel valued and where we are skilled. It's important to take time to do this exercise and not just rush through it and write out the numbers, but genuinely, like for me, I am evaluated on 9 different areas in my place of work. You might get this from your pastor or from your boss, or you might just have to create it on your own. So what are the expectations set for you by your leadership? Whatever those expectations are, that's what we're ranking. So in these 9 different areas, like offering an application, overcoming objections, different things like that for me, they will absolutely be a different list for you. Now I'm going to take some time and I will write out where I feel skilled in those areas on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I am an absolute master at this specific area. Once that list is done, I'll do the same with values. So scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I feel most value in this area. Once we rank those, we'll actually put them onto what I call the work wheel. So I'll bring them closer to those who are on the computer. Can y'all see it?
Yes.
All right, so 1 is for skills, 1 is for values. And this kind of is what I believe is a great way to avoid burnout, because you're able to see the difference and maybe the things that connect. So for me, when I look at these areas, some of the things that I find value in, I'm not technically skilled in. My leadership does not see that I've excelled in that area. And what that shows me is I'm on a road towards burnout because I'm not giving time and attention to the areas that I feel valued. So the nuance, the importance in this is to make sure that you're not neglecting any area of your work. Like, you do have to have a balance to make sure you're meeting all expectations. But this right here just shows you that when these, like, your skill levels and your value levels are out of sync, more than most likely you are going to become burned out because you're not giving attention to those areas that bring you most value. Everybody with me? Awesome. So this right here, what this helps me with is I don't like expectations sometimes. I think they're really silly, like specific ones. Like one of my expectations is registrations, right? So how many students actually become enrolled at Regent University? There's a part of me that, like, the rebel in me fights that so hard. So I'm like, I have no power over that. I have no control over how many students want to come here. I don't decide what we offer. I don't decide how it's offered or the type of student that I'm communicating with. However, it's an expectation put on me by my leadership. So for me, I can automatically say that's not an area that I find value, and yet that's an area that I excel. So it kind of shows you, like, multifacets of this data is what you could call it, I suppose. But what we want to do is we want to take the top 3 of each of these. So the top 3 areas that you value and the top 3 areas that you are skilled, and keep that at the forefront of your mind. So why am I here is kind of the core values of your place of employment or ministry that you're a part of. And then what do I do while I'm here is your skills. And then what keeps me coming back is what I value. And when these things flow together and are a natural just transition out of our place of work and into us as employers there, not only is our ministry is going to succeed and our places of employment going to succeed, but we're going to find a healthy place there in our work-life balance, knowing that there's only so much work that you can leave at work, but you carry that home with you. So maybe not the technical side of work, but if you're not feeling valued at work, if you are not assessing the areas that you're skilled, so you're kind of just focusing on the areas that you're not skilled, you're headed for burnout, and that is not going to be healthy for you, your workplace, or your ministry. So does anybody have questions about this? Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. Megan, did you have anything? All right. Well, thank y'all so much, and have a great night.